What if I told you that behind the holy words and shining pulpits, some of the most powerful black pastors were hiding dark secrets that could shake their entire congregations? They preached about faith, purity, and salvation. But off the stage, many were living double lives filled with money, lies, and temptation. From secret affairs to corruption and scandals that nearly destroyed their ministries, these stories prove that not everything wrapped in holiness is pure. These are 30 nasty scandals black pastors tried to hide. 30. Bishop Eddie L. White. Behind the choir's praises and Sunday blessings, Bishop Eddie L. White was hiding a scandal that shattered his reputation. Whispers spread after a church member revealed she'd secretly had his child, turning faith into fury overnight. For years, his congregation saw him as a man of purity and purpose, but the truth painted a darker picture of deceit within holy walls. The scandal left his ministry in ruins, his followers divided, and his once respected name buried beneath betrayal and broken trust. 29. Prophetess Kimberly Daniels. Prophetess Kimberly Daniels became famous for her fiery sermons and bold claims about unseen spiritual battles. But her message took a strange turn when she warned followers about demons hiding in Halloween candy. The statement went viral, turning her ministry into a laughingstock. Critics mocked her teachings, saying she blurred the line between faith and fantasy. Still, Daniels stood firm, insisting her words came from divine revelation. Yet the controversy forever tainted her credibility, proving that not every sermon meant to save can withstand public scrutiny. 28. Pastor Jamal Harrison. Pastor Jamal Harrison's charm and powerful sermons once filled churches across the country. But behind his confident smile was a man repeatedly caught in scandal. From rumored affairs to accusations of using church funds for personal luxuries, his name became a cycle of forgiveness and fresh disgrace. Each public apology promised change, yet another controversy always followed. Supporters called it spiritual warfare. Critics called it manipulation. Over time, even the faithful began to see a pattern, one where grace was used as a shield for repeated betrayal. 27. Bishop Elijah Bernard Jordan. Known for his designer suits and multi-million-dollar lifestyle, Bishop Elijah Bernard Jordan preached prosperity while living it to the fullest. His lavish mansions, custom cars, and elite parties turned heads far beyond his congregation. He claimed his wealth was proof of divine favor, but many accused him of exploiting believers' generosity. Donations meant for spiritual growth allegedly fueled his empire of excess. To some, he was a prophet of prosperity. To others, the symbol of greed in modern ministry. His golden image eventually cracked under the weight of opulence. 26. Pastor Mark Burns. Pastor Mark Burns built his platform on stories of sacrifice, military service, and divine calling. But it all came crashing down when investigations revealed much of it was fabricated. The degrees, the service record, even his timeline of success, none of it matched reality. He defended himself by calling it a misunderstanding, yet the public saw it as a betrayal of trust. What began as an inspiring journey of faith turned into a lesson in deception. His pulpit, once filled with applause, soon echoed with silent disbelief. 25. Reverend Jesse Jackson. Reverend Jesse Jackson stood as a towering figure of activism, faith, and power, but even he couldn't escape scandal. The revelation of a child born from an affair outside his marriage shocked the public and left his image bruised. For decades, he'd spoken about family values and integrity, yet his private life told a different story. The media frenzy was relentless, and followers who once admired his leadership struggled with disappointment. His moral authority weakened, proving that even the loudest voices of righteousness can stumble in silence. 24. Bishop Gene Robinson. When Bishop Gene Robinson was ordained as the first openly gay bishop, the world of faith split in two. To supporters, it was a bold step toward inclusion. To critics, it was blasphemy. His appointment triggered protests, boycotts, and walkouts in churches across America. Some called him a hero of truth, others a threat to tradition. The pressure was immense, yet Robinson never wavered in his beliefs. Still, the controversy changed the face of the modern church, exposing how far some would go to defend or destroy progress. 23. Prophet Brian Carn. Prophet Brian Carn's ministry thrived on spectacular predictions and bold spiritual claims. But everything changed when he was accused of copying another preacher's prophecy word for word. Video evidence spread fast, showing eerie similarities that couldn't be denied. His followers were stunned, and his credibility crumbled almost overnight. Carn tried to recover, blaming misunderstandings and media attacks, yet the damage was already done. For a prophet known for divine revelation, being caught faking inspiration became the scandal that nearly silenced his voice. 22. Pastor R.C. Blakes, Jr. Pastor R.C. Blakes, Jr. built his ministry on teachings about love, manhood, and spiritual authority. But behind the polished image, former members accused him of being controlling and manipulative. They claimed his lessons on obedience blurred into domination, turning faith into fear. Blakes denied the allegations, calling them attacks against his character, yet the stories multiplied. Supporters remained loyal, insisting his leadership was firm but fair. Still, the whispers wouldn't fade, painting a complex picture of power, pride, and the thin line between guidance and control. 21. Bishop Keith Butler. Bishop Keith Butler wasn't just a preacher. He was a political voice with strong opinions that often divided his congregation. Open alignment with controversial politicians and movements turned Sunday sermons into public debates. Many felt he used the pulpit to push political agendas instead of preaching faith. As the criticism grew, attendance dropped, and donations followed. Butler defended his stance as a moral conviction, not politics. But the damage was done. The church that once echoed with unity became a battlefield of ideology and disappointment. 20. Pastor E. Dewey Smith. Pastor E. Dewey Smith gained fame for his powerful preaching and modern message of grace. Yet behind the stage lights, critics accused him of hypocrisy, living in comfort while preaching humility. Rumors of moral failures and internal conflicts began spreading, threatening to undo years of influence. Though no proof ever confirmed the claims, the stain lingered. Smith continued to lead, speaking of forgiveness and resilience, but the whispers haunted every sermon. His story became a reminder that in the world of ministry, perception can wound as deeply as truth. 19. Pastor Benny Hinn. Pastor Benny Hinn became a global sensation, drawing crowds with promises of divine healing. But investigations revealed millions in donations flowing into his organization with little transparency. Critics accused him of using the sick and desperate for profit, turning miracles into a money machine. Lavish homes, private jets, and luxury lifestyles raised even more eyebrows. Though Hinn later admitted to mistakes, the world never forgot the image of faith mixed with fortune. His name remains one of the most controversial symbols of televangelism's dark side. 18. Bishop Paul S. Morton. For years, Bishop Paul S. Morton stood as a model of family and faith. Then came a revelation that shook his ministry to its core. A woman claimed he was the father of her child, conceived in secret years earlier. The story spread quickly, turning whispers into headlines. Morton eventually acknowledged the child, but the damage to his image was permanent. The same man who preached honesty and holiness now faced his own moral reckoning. His story became a sobering example of private sins made public. 17. Prophetess Juanita Bynum. Prophetess Juanita Bynum was once celebrated as a beacon of empowerment and purity. Her fiery sermons about righteousness inspired millions until her marriage turned violent and her breakdown became national news. The woman who preached healing now stood before cameras, bruised and broken. The public spectacle shattered her spotless reputation, exposing pain she once hid behind perfection. Though she later rebuilt her ministry, the memory of that downfall lingered. Her scandal wasn't just about violence. It was about vulnerability and the heavy cost of spiritual fame. 16. Pastor David E. Taylor. Pastor David E. Taylor's ministry drew thousands with promises of miracles and divine encounters. But beneath the glory was a life of excess that stunned even his supporters. Reports exposed. His million-dollar mansions, luxury cars, and designer suits, all allegedly paid for by church donations. Former followers accused him of emotional manipulation and cult-like control. Taylor defended himself as a man blessed by God, but the evidence told another story. The preacher who once preached sacrifice became a symbol of spiritual greed wrapped in gold. 15. Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton's fiery activism made him a national figure, yet his past carried shadows that refused to fade. From accusations of tax evasion to financial misconduct, critics questioned whether his cause was pure or political. His ties to controversial movements fueled more backlash, blurring the line between ministry and ambition. Sharpton called it character assassination, claiming he was targeted for speaking truth to power. But the scandals followed him for years, staining his credibility and proving that fame and faith often comes at a heavy price. 14. Bishop Oliver Allen. Bishop Oliver Allen inspired thousands with messages of inclusion and compassion. But when news surfaced about his same-sex relationship, his church community split down the middle. Supporters praised his honesty, while others accused him of hypocrisy. In a world where image meant everything, Allen's personal truth clashed with public expectation. Some saw him as brave, others saw him as broken. The uproar tested the church's claim of unconditional love, forcing many to face the uncomfortable distance between doctrine and humanity. His private choice became a public storm. 13. Dr. Tony Evans. Dr. Tony Evans built a reputation as one of America's most respected pastors, known for his strong family values and powerful teaching. Yet behind the smiles and sermons, his family faced deep internal conflict. Rumors of tension, separation, and disagreement spread, challenging the image of a perfect Christian household. Though Evans never directly addressed the details, the whispers grew louder. His supporters saw it as a test of faith. Critics saw it as hidden hypocrisy. The picture-perfect ministry began to look painfully human under the spotlight. 12. Reverend Ike Long. Before modern megachurches, Reverend Ike turned preaching into performance and faith into fortune. He promised followers that wealth was a sign of God's favor if they believed and gave generously. His Rolls-Royces, custom suits, and gold rings drew crowds and controversy alike. Critics accused him of selling salvation for a price, but Ike brushed it off, saying he only taught the science of living well. His message divided the faithful, but his empire proved one thing: he was the blueprint for every flashy preacher who followed. 11. Bishop Clarence McClendon. Bishop Clarence McClendon's magnetic preaching and soulful music made him a household name in gospel circles. But whispers about infidelity and abuse of power followed his success. Former insiders claimed he used his charm to manipulate women within his ministry, turning his church into his personal kingdom. While McClendon denied the allegations, the scandals never stopped haunting him. His sermons on purity rang hollow to many as rumors painted a very different picture off stage. The preacher known for saving souls became one fighting for his own image. 10. Prophet Joshua Holmes. Prophet Joshua Holmes shocked believers when he began calling himself Jesus in the flesh. His extravagant lifestyle, wild outbursts, and claims of divine power turned his ministry into a spectacle. Videos showed followers kneeling before him as if he were wholly incarnate. Critics accused him of cult-like manipulation and spiritual abuse. Yet his loyal fans defended him with blind devotion. The scandal spread fast, showing how charisma can blur the line between worship and idolatry. Holmes's empire became a warning about ego disguised as faith. 9. Reverend Henry Lyons. Reverend Henry Lyons built his reputation as a powerful church leader, guiding one of the largest Baptist organizations in the nation. But his empire collapsed when investigators uncovered he had misused millions in church funds. Lavish homes, luxury cars, and secret bank accounts revealed a shocking double life. Lyons preached sacrifice while living in excess, leaving followers heartbroken. His fall was one of the most public scandals in modern ministry, proving that greed can rot even the most spiritual foundation. The man of God became a symbol of betrayal. 8. Bishop Noel Jones. Bishop Noel Jones was known as the charming preacher with a golden voice and magnetic presence. Yet his personal life fueled endless gossip. Rumors of multiple romantic entanglements and uncommitted relationships earned him the nickname, the Preaching Playboy. His close friendship with a famous reality star only added more fuel to the gossip. For years, Jones balanced sermons about discipline with a lifestyle that seemed anything but. Though he remained defiant, the headlines chipped away at his holy image, turning admiration into fascination and quiet judgment. 7. Pastor John Gray. Pastor John Gray rose to fame for his charisma, humor, and powerful preaching. But it all unraveled when allegations of infidelity surfaced online. Leaked messages, luxury gifts, and emotional confessions painted a painful picture of double standards. Gray publicly apologized, calling it a spiritual failure, but critics saw a pattern of indulgence and deceit. His wife stood by him, yet the internet was ruthless. Once a symbol of faith and family, he became a reminder that temptation doesn't spare even the most beloved faces of modern ministry. 6. Carlton Pearson, Bishop. Carlton Pearson was once a rising star in the Pentecostal world, filling stadiums with his powerful voice and unwavering faith. But his downfall came when he publicly rejected the idea of hell, calling it a man-made concept. Church leaders branded him a heretic, and his congregation vanished almost overnight. Pearson went from adored preacher to religious exile. Though he stood firm in his beliefs, the price was enormous. Friends turned away, and his church crumbled. His fall became one of the most heartbreaking stories of conviction versus conformity. Bishop Lamar Whitehead. Bishop Lamar Whitehead turned heads with his designer suits, diamond watches, and luxury cars. Known for broadcasting his wealth, he claimed it was proof of divine blessing. But his glittering image was shattered when he was arrested for fraud and extortion. Prosecutors accused him of scamming parishioners out of their savings while living a millionaire's life. The same man who preached prosperity from the pulpit was now facing prison. His scandal reignited debates about greed and authenticity in modern ministries that sell faith as a business. 4. Bishop T.D. Jakes. Bishop T.D. Jake became one of the most influential preachers in America, admired for his wisdom and inspiring sermons. But his immense wealth and luxurious lifestyle sparked a storm of criticism. Many questioned whether a man of God should live like a celebrity, while followers struggled financially. Jakes defended his prosperity as the fruit of hard work and divine favor. Still, the conversation never stopped. Could spiritual leaders also be moguls? His name became the centerpiece of the long-running debate over money, morality, and the meaning of ministry. 3. Creflo Dollar. Creflo Dollar, one of the most famous prosperity preachers, shocked the world when he asked his followers to help him buy a $65 million private jet. His justification? It was for God's work. The request caused national outrage, with critics accusing him of exploiting believers. Despite the backlash, Dollar never backed down, insisting he deserved the best tools for ministry. The jet scandal cemented his image as the face of excessive televangelism, where faith and fortune blended until no one could tell where one ended and the other began. 2. Jamal Bryant. Pastor Jamal Bryant's fiery sermon and political activism made him one of the most recognizable black pastors of his generation. But his success was overshadowed by scandal when an affair with a church member became public. The revelation shattered his marriage and reputation. Though he later rebuilt his career, the stain of hypocrisy lingered. Bryant's story exposed the cost of charisma unguarded by discipline, showing how quickly influence can turn into infamy. His rise and fall reminded the world that power in the pulpit often hides deep personal struggles. 1. Eddie Long Bishop. Eddie Long stood as a giant in the church world, leading tens of thousands and influencing millions. But everything changed when multiple young men accused him of sexual misconduct. The lawsuits painted a dark picture of manipulation, abuse, and power used for pleasure. Long denied wrongdoing, yet his image never recovered. Once celebrated for his spiritual leadership, he became a cautionary tale about corruption cloaked in religion. His downfall marked one of the most devastating scandals in church history, leaving behind a legacy of broken trust. So, after hearing all these shocking stories, you have to wonder how many more secrets are still buried behind church doors. These scandals may have been hidden for years, but the truth always finds a way to come out. Do you think fame and faith can ever truly mix without corruption creeping in? If you want more deep dives into the dark side of power, money, and religion, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because the next story will make you question everything you thought you knew about the church.